the evolution of Spider-Man from Ditko to modern comics. Hey there, webheads! Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the world of comics and superheroes. Today, we're swinging into the fascinating evolution of everyone's favorite wall crawler, Spider-Man. From his humble beginnings in the 1960s to his modern-day adventures, Spider-Man has been a symbol of hope, responsibility, and relatability for generations of fans. In this video, we'll journey through the different eras of Spider-Man comics, exploring how the character has grown and changed over the decades. So, grab your web shooters, and let's leap into action. The birth of Spider-Man, Steve Ditko's era. Our story begins in the early 1960s, a time when superheroes were larger-than-life figures with godlike powers. Enter Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, two creative geniuses at Marvel Comics who wanted to bring something fresh to the table. In 1962, they introduced Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy number 15, and comic book history was made. Unlike other heroes, Spider-Man was a teenage high school student dealing with everyday problems, bullies, homework, and trying to fit in. This was revolutionary because it made the hero incredibly relatable to readers. Steve Ditko's unique art style played a massive role in shaping Spider-Man's identity. With his fluid line work and dynamic poses, Ditko brought Spider-Man's acrobatics to life on the page. He designed the iconic red and blue costume, complete with web patterns and those expressive eye lenses. Let's not forget the web shooters, a brilliant gadget that allowed Spidey to swing through New York City with ease. Ditko's illustrations captured the agility and grace of a spider, setting the standard for how the character would be depicted for years to come. Early storylines and themes. The early stories weren't just about catching bad guys. They delved into Peter Parker's personal struggles. From coping with the loss of his Uncle Ben to balancing his superhero duties with everyday life, readers saw a hero who was just as vulnerable as they were. Characters like Aunt May, Flash Thompson, and J. Jonah Jameson were introduced, adding depth and complexity to Peter's world. The famous mantra, "With great power comes great responsibility," became the cornerstone of Spider-Man's ethos. Transition to the Silver Age, John Romita Sr.'s impact. In the mid-1960s, Steve Ditko left Marvel, and John Romita Sr. took over as the main artist for The Amazing Spider-Man. Romita brought a new aesthetic to the series, giving characters a more polished and mainstream look. His art style was smoother and more romantic, which helped broaden Spider-Man's appeal beyond teenage boys to a wider audience, including more female readers. Romita redefined Peter Parker's appearance, making him more confident and charismatic. Iconic storylines of the late 1960s and 1970s. Under Romita's artistic direction, the series introduced some of the most memorable storylines and characters. The romantic subplot between Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson blossomed, giving readers a love story to root for. "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot," became one of the most iconic lines in comic history. Villains like the Kingpin and the Rhino made their debut, adding to Spider-Man's rogues gallery and providing new challenges for our hero. Social relevance in storytelling. The late 60s and 70s were a time of social change, and Spider-Man comics didn't shy away from real-world issues. Story arcs addressed topics like drug abuse, which was groundbreaking at the time. In fact, a 3-part story dealing with Harry Osborn's addiction ran without the approval of the Comics Code Authority, challenging censorship norms. This bold move showcased the medium's potential for serious storytelling and cemented Spider-Man's role as a socially conscious hero. The darkening tone, 1980s developments. The 1980s marked a significant shift in tone for Spider-Man comics. One of the most pivotal moments was the tragic death of Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker's first true love. In a shocking storyline, the Green Goblin throws Gwen off a bridge, and despite Spider-Man's desperate attempts to save her, she doesn't survive. This event was a brutal awakening for both Peter and the readers, illustrating that even heroes can't always save the day. It marked a loss of innocence and introduced more mature themes into the series. The Black Suit and Symbiote Saga. Enter the Black Suit. During the Secret Wars storyline, Spider-Man acquires a sleek new black costume that not only looks cool but enhances his powers. However, it turns out the suit is actually an alien symbiote trying to bond with him permanently. This arc delved into themes of identity and control. After rejecting the symbiote, it finds a new host in Eddie Brock, giving birth to one of Spider-Man's most formidable foes, Venom. The introduction of the black suit and Venom added layers of complexity to the Spider-Man mythos. Notable villains and challenges. The 1980s also saw the emergence of new villains like the Hobgoblin, who brought fresh threats and mysteries. Spider-Man faced moral dilemmas that tested his principles, such as questioning the justice system and his role as a vigilante. Storylines became darker, exploring the psychological aspects of being a superhero. The challenges weren't just physical but emotional and ethical, pushing Spider-Man to his limits. The 1990s and the Clone Saga. The infamous Clone Saga. The 90s were a wild time for comics, and Spider-Man was no exception. The storyline introduced Ben Reilly, a clone of Peter Parker created by the villainous Jackal. Initially meant to be a short arc, the Clone Saga spiraled into a complex and lengthy storyline that had fans scratching their heads. Questions arose about who the real Spider-Man was, leading to a controversial period where Ben Reilly took over as the Scarlet Spider and even as Spider-Man himself. Market changes and impact on comics. During this era, the comic book industry experienced a speculation boom, with collectors buying multiple copies of issues as investments. Publishers, including Marvel, responded with numerous spin-offs, variant covers, and crossover events. While this increased short-term sales, it eventually led to market oversaturation. The Clone Saga was extended to capitalize on this trend, but it ended up diluting the story quality and frustrating fans. It was a learning moment for the industry about the risks of prioritizing sales over storytelling. Return to classic elements. Recognizing the backlash, Marvel decided to restore Peter Parker as the one true Spider-Man. The convoluted clone plot was resolved, and efforts were made to bring back the classic elements that fans loved. Characters were refocused, and storylines aimed to recapture the essence of what made Spider-Man relatable, a hero balancing everyday life with extraordinary responsibilities. While the Clone Saga remains a contentious chapter, it ultimately reaffirmed the core of Spider-Man's identity. Modern era, 2000s onwards. With the dawn of the new millennium, Marvel launched the Ultimate Spider-Man series, a fresh take on the origins of Spider-Man set in a modern context. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, the series reimagined Peter Parker's story for a new generation. It stripped down decades of continuity, making the character more accessible to new readers. The dialogue was snappier, the pacing quicker, and the themes resonated with younger audiences, navigating the complexities of the 21st century. Major story arcs. The 2000s were packed with significant events. In the Civil War storyline, Spider-Man made the shocking decision to unmask publicly, revealing his identity as Peter Parker. This had massive repercussions on his life and relationships. Then came One More Day, a controversial arc where Peter makes a deal with the demon Mephisto to save Aunt May's life at the cost of erasing his marriage to Mary Jane from existence. These stories pushed the boundaries, showing that the writers were willing to take bold risks with the character. Introduction of Miles Morales. In 2011, the mantle of Spider-Man was expanded with the introduction of Miles Morales in the Ultimate Fallout series. Miles, a teenager of African-American and Puerto Rican descent, gained spider-like abilities and became a new Spider-Man after Peter Parker's death in the Ultimate Universe. This was a significant step toward diversity and representation in comics, resonating with readers who finally saw a hero that looked like them. Miles has since become a beloved character in his own right. Evolution of the character and themes. Throughout the years, we've seen Peter Parker grow from an awkward high school student to a married man, and even a mentor. He's juggled college, careers, and personal relationships, all while saving New York City on a regular basis. This growth has allowed readers to age and evolve with him, making his journey feel personal and impactful. The constant struggle to balance his dual life adds depth to his character and keeps the stories engaging. Shifts in storytelling approaches. Modern stories have embraced contemporary issues and technology. From social media to advanced science, the narratives have adapted to reflect current times. Storytelling has also become more nuanced, exploring different perspectives and moral gray areas. Writers have experimented with various formats, including limited series and graphic novels, to tell more focused and thematic stories. Cross-media adaptations. Spider-Man's influence isn't confined to comics. He's been the star of numerous movies, TV shows, and video games. Titles like Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, and the PlayStation video games have introduced the character to wider audiences and redefined his image. These adaptations often bring new elements to the character while staying true to his core values, further solidifying his place in popular culture. Cultural impact and legacy. Spider-Man isn't just a superhero, he's a global icon. His image is recognized worldwide, symbolizing courage, responsibility, and the everyman hero. Merchandise ranging from toys to clothing and home decor features his likeness, illustrating his widespread appeal. The character transcends cultural and linguistic barriers, uniting fans from all walks of life. Influence on the comic industry. Spider-Man set new standards for character development and storytelling in comics. His relatable struggles and complex personality paved the way for more nuanced heroes. Other characters and series have drawn inspiration from Spider-Man's blend of action, drama, and humor. He's been a cornerstone for Marvel and a benchmark for the industry as a whole. Fan base and community engagement. The Spider-Man fan community is vibrant and passionate. Fan theories, discussions, and creative works like fan art and fiction contribute to the ever-growing universe of Spider-Man. Conventions and social media platforms allow fans to connect and share their love for the character. The engagement between creators and fans has also influenced the direction of the comics, showing the power of an active community. Conclusion. From his creation by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko to his modern incarnations, Spider-Man has undergone a remarkable evolution. Despite the many changes, one thing remains constant: his ability to resonate with readers of all ages. He embodies the challenges and triumphs of everyday life, reminding us that anyone could wear the mask. As we look to the future, Spider-Man's legacy continues to grow, and we can't wait to see where his web-slinging adventures take us next. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and as always, stay amazing.